Spain, 1981. It's a day filled with dreams and promises for Lola, a day she's imagined wrapped in joy and love. Dressed in her beautiful wedding gown, she's radiant with happiness as she marries Adolfo, the father of her unborn twins. The air is buzzing with celebration, and their families waiting outside the church with smiles and open arms. As they share a quiet moment together, Lola adjusting her prosthetic leg and Adolfo standing loyally by her side, they chat excitedly about baby names for their soon-to-arrive boy and girl. The day couldn't seem more perfect. But tragedy strikes just as Lola prepares to toss her bouquet into a crowd of hopeful friends. She suddenly feels a sharp pain, and a stark red stain spreads across her white dress, a harsh contrast to the joy of just moments ago. The festive air turns heavy with worry as Adolfo and their families rush her to the hospital. The doctor's face is somber as she explains that Lola's twins couldn't be saved due to severe complications. Worse still, she reveals that Lola will no longer be able to have children, the damage too extensive for recovery. The day that began with such hope ends in sorrow, the joy of their wedding irreversibly marred. Yet, in this tough time, Adolfo's steady support and warm embrace helped Lola to face their uncertain future, giving her strength amidst the grief. It's been 6 months since the tragedy, but Lola's heart is still heavy with grief. She often finds herself lost in thoughts of the empty cradles that were meant for her twins. Overwhelmed by the silence of their home, she begs Adolfo to move back to her hometown, hoping to escape the painful memories. Adolfo, who is deeply concerned for Lola, is determined to bring joy back into their lives. He even considers adoption, willing to do whatever it takes to fill the emptiness in their home and hearts. But despite his efforts, Lola hesitates to embrace the idea of adopting. After a particularly tense discussion, Adolfo, frustrated, heads to work. As a pilot, he often finds solace in the skies, away from the turmoil at home. After that day's heated argument, Lola reluctantly agrees to visit a convent known for caring for abandoned children. There, Sister Asuncion guides them through the halls, explaining that the children here are often shunned by society due to their physical or mental differences. Adolfo then mentions to the Reverend Mother that Lola also grew up in a convent herself. As they walk, the sound of an organ draws Lola to a small chapel where she meets Tin and Tina, albino twins whose music fills the room. A sudden thunderstorm startles the twins, who fear it's a sign of God's wrath. When they plead with Lola not to leave, her heart softens. Seeing their need for love they've never known, she decides to adopt them, eventually convincing a reluctant Adolfo. On their way home, Adolfo plays modern music. Hearing this, these children say that this music is of the devil. Adolfo and Lola laughed at their words, and they knew that these children were completely different from the outside world. When they arrive home, they introduce Tin and Tina to their dog, Cookie, who is initially unsure about the new arrivals and barks at them constantly. But Adolfo encourages the twins to bond with Cookie, emphasizing that the dog is part of the family. As they enter the yard, Adolfo points to the sky, sharing his love for flying. The twins, full of wonder, ask if he has met God up there. His answer, simple and honest, highlights their innocence. He says that he didn't get the opportunity to meet God yet. In these moments, Lola and Adolfo glimpse the happiness they thought they'd lost. The day Tin and Tina arrived, the house seemed to buzz with a new kind of energy. Lola, despite feeling a mix of emotions, put on a brave face as she showed them around. When the twins playfully jumped into the cradles intended for her own children, Lola's heart sank, but she gently redirected them, hiding her discomfort as best she could. At dinner, the twins presented Adolfo with a wooden crown, similar to what Jesus wore, and gave Lola a Holy Rosary necklace, which was believed to ward off evil. Adolfo accepted his gift with a warm smile, but Lola's reaction was less enthusiastic, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. Before eating, the twins asked Adolfo to lead them in grace, their devotion clear in their eager faces. Lola, however, seemed distant, examining the rosary with skepticism. Later that night, as Lola unpacks their belongings, Tin and Tina find out that Lola can't have children, so they tell her how much they believe in miracles and how many possibilities there are. The twins then explain that the numerous crucifixes in their baggage are meant to be placed inside the house to keep the devil away. Lola ignores their words and goes to sleep. She removed the rosary before bed, her doubts too heavy to wear around her neck. The next morning, the sound of slingshots woke Lola. She found Tin and Tina playing outside, their laughter starkly contrasting the quiet doubts inside her. At breakfast, when Lola skipped saying grace, the twins questioned her belief in God. Lola admitted finding faith difficult sometimes. Tina, trying to reassure her, recited a Bible verse with conviction, asking Lola to promise to stay seated for a demonstration of faith. Lola agreed, curious. Suddenly, Tina put a plastic bag over Tin's head. Lola froze in shock, but as Tin began to struggle, Tina removed it, claiming it was a demonstration of their faith. As Tin and Tina settled into their new school, they quickly became targets for bullying. Pedro, a classmate, cruelly labeled them the children of Dracula because of their unique appearance. Distressed and confused, the twins turned to Lola, seeking comfort. In a heartfelt moment, Lola shared her own story with them. She revealed her prosthetic leg, a constant reminder of the fire that not only claimed her limb, but also her parents. Lola explained how the event had profoundly changed her life, removing her childhood and altering her path forever. Tin and Tina saw Lola's survival as a miracle, a sign of divine intervention, but Lola confessed her own doubts about such beliefs. Later that day, Lola discussed with Adolfo the twins' intense religiosity, noting how they had hung crucifixes on every door in the house. Adolfo dismissed it as a habit from their time in the convent, not fully grasping the depth of their need for these symbols. That night, during a playful pillow fight, the atmosphere quickly shifted when the twins suddenly turned off the lights and reverted to their earlier, unsettling behavior. They covered Lola's face with a pillowcase, urging her to seek a miracle from God. Lola's anxiety surged, her breast becoming heavy. Just as she felt herself fading, Adolfo rushed in and pulled the pillowcase away, his frustration boiling over. Despite the terrifying ordeal, Lola intervened before Adolfo could scold the twins too harshly. She insisted they were just children, still adjusting to their new life. But Adolfo, struggling to contain his anger, reprimanded them anyway. Amid the tension, their dog Cookie, sensing the distress, bit Lola, leaving her with a painful, bleeding wound. One fateful night, the twins sneaked into Lola and Adolfo's room, catching them in an intimate moment. During the distraction, Tina quietly took Lola's depression medication and mixed it into Cookie's food, leaving the dog unconscious. Unaware of the twins' actions, Lola and Adolfo woke to a horrifying scene the next morning. Cookie was lying lifeless, split open in a misguided attempt by the twins to purify his soul after he had bitten Lola. The twins stood there bloodied, believing they had done a righteous act, not understanding the deadly outcome of their actions. This tragic incident shattered Lola's resolve. She began to doubt her decision to bring the twins into their home, a thought she kept to herself. However, Adolfo saw their actions as mere innocence, emphasizing the need for a mother's guidance to teach them right from wrong. In their own way of grappling with guilt, Tin and Tina inflicted pain upon themselves by walking on their knees with forks, believing they deserved punishment for Cookie's death. Lola, heartbroken, tended to their wounds and tried to explain that not everything in the Bible should be taken literally. She even called the Bible a work of fantasy, challenging their deep-seated beliefs in angels and devils. On Christmas Eve, amidst these turbulent emotions, Lola collapsed and was rushed to the hospital. There, she received a piece of miraculous news. She was pregnant. Lola and Adolfo's joy seemed to briefly heal their wounds. Months have passed, and life at home seemed almost perfect, until Tin and Tina broached a chilling topic. They suggested that Lola's pregnancy might be the result of their prayer and wondered aloud about a divine command to sacrifice the child, echoing the biblical story of Jesus. Lola was horrified by the conversation. The next day, Lola and Adolfo took the children to church for their first communion. During the parade, Pedro continued his bullying and even disrespected the Holy Spirit, an act the twins deemed blasphemous. After the parade, as the group returned to the church, Lola's anxiety mounted as she couldn't spot the twins. Meanwhile, Pedro's mother was also worried. Pedro hadn't returned with the others. Relief washed over Lola when the twins emerged from playing the organ upstairs. But the situation turns for the worse when the church door is flung open and a severely injured Pedro collapses onto the floor. Lola's suspicion deepened when Pedro's mother revealed that other children had seen Pedro with Tin and Tina just before the accident, wondering if this was an act of revenge. Following that incident, Lola visited Sister Asuncion at the convent to inquire about the twins' past behavior. However, Sister Asuncion only defended them as pure and righteous, leaving Lola's doubts unaddressed. That night, fueled by suspicion, Lola sneaked into the twins' room to take their Bible. Inside, she found a disturbing sketch showing the twins engaged in violent acts against the dog and Pedro. The discovery left her reeling. What kind of children had she welcomed into her home? Lola shared her fears with Adolfo, convinced of the twins' involvement in Pedro's condition. However, Adolfo believed the sketch was harmless, a misunderstanding of biblical stories, not evidence of malice. His dismissal of her concerns only deepened her distress. Frustrated by his refusal to see the danger, Adolfo retreated to his room, leaving Lola alone with her troubling thoughts. Taking matters into her own hands, Lola decided to remove the source of the twins' intense religiosity. She locked away the Bible and crucifixes in a briefcase, telling Tin and Tina sternly that they were too young for such powerful teachings, and there would be no more religious practices in the house until they matured. She warned them that any disobedience would result in their return to the convent. The tension escalated the following day when Lola noticed clumps of her hair falling out. Adolfo tried to reassure her, saying it was normal for pregnant women due to hormonal changes, but Lola was convinced the twins had cursed her as punishment for taking away their Bible. In a fit of anger and fear, she cut off the rest of her hair, determined to show that she wasn't afraid and would stand up to any threat. Days later, Lola reached out to Pedro's mother, only to be crushed by the news of his death. Overwhelmed with grief and fear, she sought comfort in Adolfo's arms, pleading with him not to leave her side. But as a pilot, he had to depart for a flight, leaving Lola alone with her fears. The situation took a terrifying turn the following day when Lola woke up to find herself tied to her bed by Tin and Tina. She screamed for Adolfo, but he was still away. Tina tried to calm her by offering milk, which Lola feared was poisoned and refused to drink. In a desperate bid to care for their unborn sibling, the twins resorted to using a syringe. Lola managed to free herself, grabbed a knife from the kitchen for protection, and confronted the twins just as Adolfo arrived home. Tina insisted it was all meant as a surprise, but the stress had already induced Lola's labor, and she was rushed to the hospital. After the baby was born, Adolfo proposed they start anew as a family. However, when he and the twins expressed a desire to have the baby baptized, Lola adamantly refused. She wanted her child to have the freedom to choose his own religious path when older. One day, while Lola was busy cooking, the twins took advantage of the distraction to play a trick. They hid the eggs, prompting Lola to step outside to get more from the backyard. This left the baby unattended. Seizing the moment, Tin and Tina, who had managed to unlock the trunk and retrieve the Bible, decided to move forward with their own plan to baptize the baby. Distracted by his game, Adolfo didn't notice the twins taking the baby to the pool. In a misguided attempt at a baptism, the twins dunked the baby upside down in the water, endangering his life. Luckily, Lola caught sight of what was happening just in time. She rushed out, pulled the baby from the water, and in a fit of panic and fury, she slapped the twins hard, scolding them for their recklessness. She then turned her anger towards Adolfo, blaming him for neglecting his duties as a father by not keeping a closer watch over the twins and their dangerous antics. Realizing the severity of the situation and the danger his negligence had almost caused, Adolfo's frustration boiled over. In a dramatic response, he set fire to the Bible, deciding once and for all to eliminate what he saw as the root of so much turmoil. Ultimately, the couple decided to send the twins back to the convent. Months later, as they celebrated their son's 1-month birthday, Lola couldn't shake off the guilt of feeling like a bad mother, though Adolfo preferred to leave the past behind. Meanwhile, at the convent, Tin and Tina listened intently, as Sister Asuncion reminded them with a biblical verse that God cannot be mocked and that actions have consequences, hinting at the unending cycle of their troubled past. Lola didn't find the peace that she was desperately looking for after escaping a dangerous situation. Despite Adolfo's efforts, his lack of support for her and their child weighed heavily on her. As they drove home from the restaurant, Lola asked Adolfo to slow down as two creatures darted across the road. He managed to stop safely, avoiding a collision. Once home, after settling her son into his room, Lola came downstairs to find the front door slightly open, with footprints leading into the hallway. Adolfo insisted he had shut it tightly when they entered. As the storm outside grew fiercer, adding a sense of foreboding, Lola sat down next to Adolfo, visibly distressed, and began removing her wedding ring, signaling her intent to leave him. Seeing this, Adolfo confessed his past failures, but promised he had changed and was committed to protecting their family. Moved by his words, Lola decided to give their marriage another chance. Their moment was interrupted when the storm caused the TV antenna to malfunction. Adolfo went outside to fix it, leaving Lola to ponder their conversation. Suddenly, the baby's cries pierced the night, then eerily stopped. Then the radio flickered to life, playing a haunting melody that reminded Lola of Tin and Tina. It's the twins' favorite song. As the power cut out, Lola, armed with a flashlight, stepped outside to check on Adolfo, only to find him engulfed in flames. Horrified, she watched helplessly as he stumbled onto the porch, still alive but severely burned. She raced to find something to extinguish the fire, but it was too late. Adolfo had stumbled into the house, setting it ablaze. In a panic, Lola dashed upstairs to save her baby, only to find the crib empty. With the house filling with smoke, she wrapped a cloth around her face, praying for a miracle, just like the twins did. Amidst the chaos, she heard her baby's cry coming from the twins' old room. Miraculously, she found him there, safe. They barely escaped the burning house, and Lola collapsed outside, unconscious. The following day in the hospital, Sister Asuncion reassured her that her baby was safe. It was indeed a true miracle amidst the tragedy. She also delivered the heartbreaking news of Adolfo's death, caused by a lightning strike. When Lola inquired about Tin and Tina, the sister confirmed they had been at the convent all night, proving their innocence. Realizing her misjudgments, Lola decided to readopt the twins, fully embracing them as part of her family. At Adolfo's funeral, wearing the rosary Tina had given her, Lola said Amen, a gesture she had previously resisted. This act marked her renewed faith and acceptance, symbolizing a fresh start and a new understanding of the mysterious ways in which life unfolds. What do you think? Is this truly a story of renewed faith, or could it be the unfolding of Tin and Tina's twisted plan? For more bone-chilling thrillers and captivating stories, make sure to subscribe to Plotline.